So is Tampo acceptable in a relationship? If you're not sure what Tampo is, stay tuned and I'll explain that to you, and we'll have a look at this topic and I'll give you my thoughts around it.
Hello.
Oh, big shark. So firstly, Tampo, if you haven't heard of it, I'm sure most people who watch the channels on YouTube, or Philippine channels on YouTube, have definitely heard of this subject. Tampo is when a Filipina will go very quiet, and what we would call in the Western society sulking, and going very quiet. They might retreat to their room for sometimes for no apparent reason. It can really throw a Western man when this happens. And what we want to look at is it actually acceptable in a relationship with a Western man? In Philippine culture, well, I don't know if it's in the culture so much, but it seems to be a thing that happens, that when a Filipino and a Filipino are in a relationship together, this seems to be a common thing, where if the Filipina woman doesn't like something the man has done, she will just go very quiet, retreat within herself, and basically give him the cold shoulder. It might last a day, 2 days, 3 days, who knows how long, until that man goes to her and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, darling." So now that sort of thing may or may not work in the Philippines. I don't know really how that would work in the Philippines, but maybe the men have a different idea around this issue. So, but here, Western society, the problem is that we're taught to communicate in a relationship. The communication is key in a relationship, and I do believe that is true. Without communication in a relationship, you're going to have all sorts of problems in that relationship. You can't resolve anything, and by not talking about it does not resolve a problem. You don't talk about a problem you've got. You wait 2 or 3 days, the problem, okay, it might be forgotten at that time, but it's going to come back again at another time. Nothing is resolved, nothing is gained around that problem that you've had, and it will continue to go on and on and on over time. So what that's going to do, it's going to actually damage that relationship quite a lot if people don't talk and the issues are not addressed, especially if there's serious issues. Now, as I say, you as the Western man may wonder what the hell's going on. Why is she acting like this? You don't know. Like, she hasn't talked to you, she hasn't told you, and it's doing your head in, it's driving you crazy. Like, thinking, oh, I've done nothing wrong, I don't understand why, and she won't even talk to me. So it could be just something very simple. She might think there might have been an attractive woman walking past the other way that she thinks you've had a quick look at or whatever, and that's got her upset. Or she might have misunderstood something you've said to her and taken it a totally different way, because maybe her English is not that good, or her understanding of English is not that good, and so the communication factor around the language barrier, I should say, has been misunderstood, and she might have got cranky about something like that. But whereas in Western society, the woman and the man will generally talk about what's going on. She'll say, "Oh, why did you do this, or why did you do that?" And you can have a discussion about it. They just clam up, they retreat within themselves. They might go and spend hours and hours in their room, and unless you are together and say, "Oh, what's wrong, darling?" try and appease them in that way, then they're going to keep going on and on and on. So it's very important, when you start that relationship with your Filipina, the moment she tries to do this, is that you explain to her that it's not acceptable, it's not going to work. And in time, they do, the Filipina does get to understand it. Now, in my relationship, my wife was the same when she first came to Australia, and I thought, hell, what's going on here? You know, like, and it went on probably for, you know, a good 12 months or so before, at certain times, not all the time, just occasionally. And you've got to remember, you're also dealing with a woman who's come from overseas. She's come from a country, come to a new country, and doesn't have a lot of support around her, and she might be feeling a bit lonely, a bit vulnerable. So there'll be times there where she will go like that, and she might feel insecure. So, you know, she can get cranky easy with you. But it's a matter of just helping them to understand why it's so important to actually discuss these things, rather than just say nothing and then act like everything's okay again without resolving the issue. Because if the Tampo thing is allowed to continue in this Western relationship with your Filipina, undoubtedly it's going to destroy, in time it will destroy that relationship. It's very, very damaging to it. So I hope that firstly that this video has educated you a little bit on what Tampo is. So basically just sulking, not talking about an issue, and then pretending everything's okay. And also to the, you know, men who might be with a Filipina, or the Filipinas who are in a relationship with a Western man, have a bit more understanding around why it's so important to actually talk about problems you may have, rather than hide and sulk and not discuss anything. So I'd like you to put your comments down below if you've got any experience around this. If you believe Tampo is acceptable in a Western relationship, or it's not. And even if there's some Filipino couples watching, what happens in your relationship between you two guys? Is it okay for the Filipino to, you know, do the whole Tampo thing? Yeah, I'm very interested in hearing all different sides of this. Don't forget to share the video, like the video, of course, hit that like button, very important that I know you've liked what you've seen, and of course subscribe if you haven't already, and put the notification bell on for more videos, as we upload roughly every second day. Yeah, well, it is every second day, so uploads every second day, new ones. We do a lot of stuff around relationship topics and many other sorts of videos coming up. Another month we're off to the Philippines, as many regular viewers of the channel know, and there's going to be some pretty good stuff coming out of there, so stay tuned. Appreciate you being part of this channel, and we'll catch you very shortly. Take care. Bye for now.